You know it's not a good camera release when like the most talked about sensational thing is the Viewfinder, and maybe that should be the headline of this video. Sony has fallen behind, and this camera is proof. I just want to get on here and make a quick video saying what everyone else is obviously thinking, which is that Sony is a massive disappointment and this new camera kind of sucks. I'm sure you saw, it's all over YouTube. Sony's got a new camera and it's a cinema camera. And this is the kind of thing, it's like, as soon as you see it, you're like, oh dude, this could be big. It wasn't. It turns out they took an A7 IV, repackaged it and gave it a tilty screen and said, here's your new camera. I know it looks new. It's actually 4, almost 5 years old, but here you go. The thing I gotta say that needs to be said is that you and me have permission to be sorely disappointed in Sony for doing this and for releasing it at a way too expensive of a price that doesn't make any sense for old tech. And that's okay. It's okay that we can be like, hey, Sony, this is sort of a sucky camera. It costs too much money. It's old technology, and there's a lot of other camera brands out there that have been eating your lunch for like a few years now with better specs at a lower cost. The reason I feel like that needs to get said is because I'm not just disappointed in Sony. I actually expect it from them. This is not the first time they've done something kind of silly like this. They will continue to do so. They're a big company after all. I sort of feel disappointed as well in a lot of the different YouTuber camera guys that I watch, at least, in that, of course, they got their hands on this, and of course, they were going to release a review. That's not surprising and all. It's just how the industry works. What I don't like is the fact that consistently in all these videos, every time, these guys always say, hey, I'm not getting paid to make this review. All these thoughts are my own. Listen, I'm small time, but I've done a handful of reviews just like that. They send me the product. They're like, hey, you don't have to say some stuff. Here's some stuff you should know. So kind of what they end up doing is they build a reputation on, hey, I review gear, but this is unbiased. It's just my professional opinion. The thing is, I've noticed this, I'm sure you've noticed this too, is that it's kind of rare that they'll just come out and say something straight up bad. They'll never just like trash a product, even at the time when it maybe most deserves to get trashed, which would be right now. This is a dud. This is a bad move. This is a money grab by Sony. And I have this intense feeling that if you were really honest, if you were really like, oh, all these thoughts are my own, that you would just come out and say that. Now, it's not hard to see the vibe in the community. It's in all the comments section. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows that we're all pretty disappointed. This is not a great release for a camera. This is not what we expected. Panasonic just released the S1 II, and it's like amazing. It does all these incredible things. And we're kind of going, all right, Sony, like your turn. Let's see what else you got. And this is what they got. Like I said, we kind of have a right to be disappointed with them. And I would hope and think that these reputably honest and technical camera YouTuber guys would catch on to that. I understand the temptation to be like, well, they sent me this thing, and if I talk good about this thing, then people are gonna maybe click the link a little bit more, and then I make a little bit more money. There's just no getting around the fact that there's kind of an incentive structure that even if you're giving your unbiased opinion, you're still rewarded if you say good things about a product rather than something bad. So here's my very unbiased review, because no one sent me this camera and no one asked my opinion, but Sony has officially become the Apple of the camera world. And what I mean is that Sony does something big, the A7S III, for instance, or the S2, they have like a big innovation, and then they capitalize on that innovation for years afterwards, even once it's old tech, just sort of recycling it. And people are so enamored with that first revolutionary thing that they like glaze the next years of subpar release after subpar release, and that is just Sony in a nutshell. Now, what's more, you also have the Sony fanboy, which may be all of the YouTubers I was referencing earlier, and they all seem to think like, no, this is still good, this is still amazing, you should like this. Meanwhile, Nikon and Lumix and Fujifilm and even Canon, all these other people over here are doing actual innovation, especially when it comes to the video features in mirrorless cameras. There are a bunch of other companies that are doing a lot of great stuff. Such great stuff, I actually recently switched. So, all right, there's my bias. There it is. I'm actually just going to come out and tell you, I got totally fed up with Sony, mostly the prices. I was planning to upgrade to more Sony stuff. I've been a Sony shooter for years. I've shot on kind of all the different alpha cameras, and I thought, all right, it's time. We're getting into the FX2. It's a popular camera for a reason. But once I got honest with myself and just shopped around for 5 seconds, I was like, wait a second. You can shoot an Opengate on these LUMIX cameras, even the kind of like older ones, and they're like half the price. The problem is, and this is a real problem, is that you've got a lot of people like myself who were in the Sony world, and you have E-mount lenses and all this Sony equipment, and it really is hard to just up and change systems. So I actually just sold my FS5. That was my last Sony like a week ago. I have now fully switched over to LUMIX. I'm shooting this on an S5 II, and it's been better in every possible way. It was the right choice. All the things I was wanting in a upgrade, I was thinking about doing like an FX3, I actually got in switching brands, and I got them for a lower cost. So that's where I'm coming from. So some thoughts on the FX2 itself, which I don't know if it really needs many. Number one, it's just an A7 IV with a tilty thing and a fan built in. Now those are cool, those are welcome upgrades. Is that $300 worth of upgrades? Wait, back up. Is the A7 IV itself still worth $2,500? Great question. I'm glad you asked. So I got to thinking, the FX2 is $2,700, and you can buy it with the top handle for $3,100. What else is there out there that's around that price? Like, what could you get? Well, now that I'm kind of familiar with Panasonic world, I was like, hey, Panasonic also just released a camera for $2,500. Let's compare the two. We're not going to do an in-depth comparison. We can't. But let's take a look at one thing in particular. This is the list of internal recording modes for the FX2. You notice ProRes isn't on there at all, and the highest resolution you're going to get out of this thing internally is regular old 4K. A brand new camera, 2025 camera, only shoots in 4K. No Opengate, nothing else. LUMIX S1 2E, $2,500. Look at this freaking list. Every codec, all the color option, all the frame rate options, all of the resolution options, and specifically 6K and Opengate, which now that I have finally worked with this, I'm just gonna tell you right now, they are underselling you. I think this is my conspiracy theory. I think that the Sony fanboys are so Sonyified that they are underselling you on the capabilities of shooting in 6K and shooting in 6K Opengate. Now that I've actually done it, it's freaking revolutionary, and I just don't know how I was operating before. I never want to go back. Too many advantages to list in a short video like this. Hopefully it's short, I've been rambling for a while. We'll talk about it more in another video, how about that? You know it's not a good camera release when like the most talked about sensational thing about new camera is the viewfinder, but let's talk about that for a second because Sony's like, hey, it's got a tilty viewfinder, check this out. Tilty viewfinder has 3.6 million dots. That's not bad. LUMIX S1 2E viewfinder, 5.7 million dots. Sony's notoriously bad monitor on the back of this thing. FX2, 1 million dots. S1 2E, 1.8 million dots. There's 100 other things we could go over right now, but the truth is the A7 IV at $2,500, the FX2 at $2,700, these cameras, spec for spec, blow for blow, have less features, less to offer than other cameras at lower price points. I don't know how you justify it anymore. As somebody who does this for a living, these are the tools I use to make money. It makes no sense for me to invest in stuff like this.